All right, good evening. Welcome to the Thursday, July 14th meeting of the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners. Please all rise to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is Esau. I don't know if you can hear me well. Open. I just wanted to see if there was a vote for it.
Yeah, we got to open the meeting. I apologize. So all in favor, open the
Thank you, Isan.
Aye.
Aye. Second.
meeting. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Sorry.
Okay. So as far as reports, Jamie's on vacation this week, so we're going to just do a quick, I'm not going to go through her whole report. We can have that. We can have her visit next month, if you will, but she does have two resolutions out there, one for payment of bills. So I'm going to read that resolution off. We have a motion, resolution number 91-2022, motion to pay bills and vouchers as presented. The board has been supplied with two sets of bills and one credit card bill for board approval. Chief Tween has reviewed all prior to the meeting, except certiorari claims and those specifically marked as reviewed by the treasurer. Treasurer requested the board approve the following. Warrant 1 dated 7/14/22 for $146,497.88. Warrant 2 dated 7/14/22 for $240,368.69. A credit card bill of dated 7/18/22 for $1,466.89 for a total of $388,333.46. Can I get a motion to pay those bills as presented?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All right, all in favor? I'm sorry, go ahead, Yvonne.
I guess I'll go on. I just wanted to confirm, are all five commissioners there, or?
Yes, all
Yes.
five are here. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Laurie?
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone?
Aye.
Commissioner Keating?
No.
Commissioner Roach?
I'll abstain. I have not been able to view the warrants.
Commissioner Carlin?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next resolution is to move funds for upcoming overtime. Resolution 92-2022. Motion to and this is for money that Jamie thinks we're going to need sometime in August, so she wanted to get funds moved over in time. Motion to transfer funds to general ledger account 2413.1 overtime-firefighters, which is predicted to exceed its currently budgeted amount from general ledger account 3410.15, uniformed firefighter salary in the amount of $200,000. Can I get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Ranalone?
Aye.
And
Ranalone was second. I'll call the roll. Commissioner Laurie?
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone?
Aye.
Commissioner Keating?
No.
Commissioner Roach?
I wasn't involved in the majority of the board when they made the decisions that caused this overtime, so I'm going to abstain.
Commissioner Carlin?
aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. That brings us to the chief's report.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good evening. The monthly activity report for June 2022, total alarms 342, 8 fire-related, 174 EMS-related. We received mutual aid one time from New Rochelle Fire Department for a fire in Tahoe, and we gave mutual aid twice to the city of Mount Vernon. Maintenance continues for the use of outside vendors. Tim Dalton's weekly reports for June were emailed to the board on July 13th. Fire prevention code enforcement activities continue with numerous plan reviews and inspections, and their report was emailed to the board on July 13th as well. 2 members are out on long-term absence, and 1 member is on unpaid leave. Tomorrow, July 15th, 6 of our probationary members will graduate from the Westchester County Career Chiefs Fire Academy. I've gotten good reports from our lieutenants that's up at the academy. They're all going to work out well, it seems like. They're doing a great job up there, and we look forward to getting them back. They'll serve 1 week of straight days for orientation and becoming familiar with our equipment, and then they'll go into their assigned groups beginning July 25th. On July 12th, the board was emailed a quote for a new vehicle. The vehicle would be for the assistant chief's position if it's created and filled, and if not, it will go to the fire prevention office, whose both vehicles are 2007, and one of them has over 90,000 miles. The other one has about 60,000 miles. So I believe it's time to replace at least one of those vehicles. The I request the board to authorize me to purchase a 2022 Chevrolet Tahoe from Denoire Chevrolet, 127 Wolf Road, Albany, New York, for the price of $45,575. It's in stock and would be available immediately. The price is based upon the Village of Endicott, New York Police Department accepted request for bids. Cheryl Sacco, the district counsel, has confirmed that we may piggyback onto this contract for purchase. So I asked the board to consider and if they're in agreement to allow me to purchase that vehicle. Yes, sir.
What additional cost would be to get it,
Lights and sirens. On my vehicle 2 years ago, it was $14,000. But I would imagine with the price increases, it would probably be a little bit more than that. But I don't have a quote for that. We're just buying the vehicle because it's available, and then we'll bring it to our local shop, the Cruisers Division in Mamaroneck, to put the lights and sirens and radios in under county contracts. So I don't have a quote for that yet. I'm waiting for the quote. But
can we make a resolution to do both?
I would wait to see because once we get the vehicle, it's going to go to the Cruisers Division probably for a couple months, so. Yeah, so I'd rather wait until we get a quote and then, you could do a not to exceed $20,000 for radios and graphics and lighting and stuff like that. But the dealership does not do the lighting or sirens or stuff. They just provide it's called special service vehicle. It's like for police, taxis, fire departments, that kind of stuff. So at this point, I'm just looking for the vehicle, and if we get it, we'll insure it, and, it could be used as a transport vehicle, but not for a response vehicle, because it won't have lights and sirens.
Okay.
So-
What does everyone else think? Should we do both together or one at a time?
We'll let the chief finish his report first.
Okay.
That's, okay. On July 12th, the board was emailed a quote for a Pearson Forcer tower ladder to replace the 2003 American LaFrance tower ladder. The lead time for delivery is currently 18 months, which would put delivery in early 2024. And the cost of the quote that I worked with some members of the department and Commissioner Ranalone would be $1,852,000. The current tower ladder will be over 21 years old in 2024 and will cost a lot more to maintain because we're already spending a lot of money in repairs for it. The money could either be added to the 2023 and 2024 budgets, as well as a possible grant from Assemblywoman Amy Paulin, who is actually awarding us a grant for ladder 16, but the money, for 16 was already paid. So we could utilize that grant money plus add some money to the budgets. Or another possible way to pay for it would be to bond the purchase. We'd have to hire bond attorneys. Cheryl Sacco opined on that, and it's a whole process to bond something. So we would have to find out. I don't think we've bonded for rigs in like 40 years. I know there were rigs was it Commissioner Ranalone? Would you take a guess? 40 years ago, maybe.
1978, I think it was.
Yeah, so maybe 50 years ago. So they did bond 2 engines from Mack. So it's never not been done before. It has been done before, but it has been a long time because the boards have seemed to prefer to pay cash and not carry debt. The only thing that I would say, if you bond it, and it's a substantial amount, $1.852 million. When you bond it over 15 years, the people that are getting the use of that vehicle over 15 or 20 years are paying for it. Whereas if an elderly resident moves to Florida and we pay for it and they paid $1.8 million and then move out of town, they don't get the use of it. So there could be arguments said for both, not to have debt, and also the people that are getting the use of the vehicle will be paying for it. People that move in 10 years from now will still help pay for that vehicle that they're getting use of. But I would say that's a board decision, if you're not, if you want to discuss it, however you want to decide to pay for it. But I do have a quote out there, and I would recommend the purchase of it because the tower ladder is getting older, and it's going to be over 20 years old.
We voted last time to move forward with the tower ladder, didn't we?
I wasn't at the last meeting, so we didn't talk about it at either of the special meetings, and I don't know that we had I know Commissioner Ranalone brought it up, but I wasn't at the meeting, so I'm not exactly sure what motion was made as far as that goes.
Isang, do you recall if there was a vote made about the tower ladder at the last the June meeting?
I am trying to pull up the notes here. I believe there was a motion
Yeah, I thought that was
Wait a
maybe
minute,
2
right.
meetings
Yeah,
ago. I
wait a
got
minute.
permission to start doing the research, and so over the last 2 months, I've, come to a finalized product.
Julie?
Did you size it out,
I
chief?
believe it was on the.
It's,
Okay, thanks, Tom.
the SAM grant is, I believe, yes, that we'll get it sometime next year.
500?
Yeah.
Tower ladder from Pierce, go to North End.
Good job, chief.
Yeah. So that goes on to another thing for the board to consider. The floor at the Bronxville Firehouse has been evaluated and a conclusion provided by Highland Associates. Unfortunately, the news is not good. The floor, as designed, even if repaired, cannot support the weight of engine 29 that is stationed there. We had a professional scales, certified scales come in to see if we tried to remove some hose and equipment off it. We removed 400 feet of hose and several hundred pounds of equipment, and it was still too heavy. So currently, 29 is not being housed in the Bronxville Firehouse. Engine 28 is about 8,000 pounds lighter because it's an aluminum cab and aluminum body, so it's much lighter, so we're using that. That's not overloading the floor. So in the report from Highland Associates, they gave us a plan to move forward to fix the damaged part of the floor, but they only recommend going back to the first set of columns, like 10 or 15 feet, which will bring the floor back to its original design capacity. The question is, if the capacity of the floor can't even support the weight of a modern fire truck, do we want to do something like we're doing in Chester Heights? So, the quick fix to get it back to its design capacity, ballpark number, I'm just guessing, $100,000. To replace the whole floor, it's going to be like Chester Heights, $500,000. So, we would have to make a decision there. So for right now, it's, the shoring is still in there for the damaged part of the floor, and we're not overloading the weight. We're 8,000 pounds under, the maximum loading weight for the floor. So, we have a little bit of time, but at the last engineering, the last time that the engineers, mugglers that come in and investigate and check it every 6 months, they said, we're running out of time. Eventually, they're not going to say the floor is okay, and they're going to say that the floor can't be used. And unfortunately, it's right at the threshold where we come in and out. If it was in the back, we could rope off that area and not use it, but unfortunately, it's right at where the garage door opens and closes, so we can't avoid not using that part of the floor. So, I don't want to get into a thing where we're going to have 2 firehouses closed, so I wouldn't even entertain starting this project until the Chester Heights Firehouse is open and running and in full service. But we can start the preliminary work of, having designs done and things like that. So the thing I need to know from the board, do we want to direct Highland Associates to come up with a plan and an estimated cost for doing the whole floor or just fixing the floor? Because that was the next step. They were going to start doing designs with their completed phase 1, which we gave them $8,000 or $9,000 for. So the next step is phase 2, and then that comes at additional cost. But before we set them off in that direction, let's decide, are we going to repair the whole floor, or are we just going to get it back to its design?
My question is, why would they suggest repair the floor when it doesn't hold enough weight?
That's what we tasked them to do. So they completed what we tasked them to do, and they're telling us that even if you fix it,
Okay.
the weight of engine 29 is going to be too heavy.
I'm fine with starting that process, if you want to.
So you're leaning towards
Lean towards starting.
doing the whole floor, or just the front
We should just put
section?
a- We
the
should just
front-
put a new floor in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's been a hallmark of previous boards, not to spend money or to do temporary fixes. And the result is what we have with Station 4, where it should have been fixed 20 years ago. It wasn't, so now it's going to cost us probably 5 times what it was going to cost 20 years ago. So in order to do the job correctly, I think we should do the entire apparatus floor, just like Station 4.
So the only thing I'll add to that, we had the scale guy come in and weigh all the fire trucks, okay, just to make sure everything was not overloaded any of the other floors. The Pierces are also underweight. So if we were to move one of the Pierces there and at its design load, it would still be underweight. It's just 29, it's a steel cab and a steel body that it adds the extra weight. So we could, say, take engine 30 and, swap 29 and 30. But again, it's like the fire trucks in the future are only going to get heavier and heavier. So we're, we have to kind of think ahead.
And you're talking about one engine company. Well, you have spoken in the past of storing a ladder and an engine company down there. What would that do to the equation?
Well, we would tell them what the anticipated load. So if we were going to put ladder 16 down there in the future, we would tell them we have a 60,000-pound ladder truck and a 42,000-pound fire truck. And, you know, those would be the design loads, and then put in, say, whatever the engineers decide for safety, you know.
But does the quick fix match that?
No, you could not put a truck in there if we were going to do
So
it.
I agree with Commissioner Ranalone. No
It's-
sense putting a Band-Aid in, spending money, and then have to come back and do it
Right,
again.
right. The design load is 9,500 pounds per wheel load. So when you have double wheels in like the back of the fire engines, that counts as one wheel load. So engine 29, both back wheels were over the design limit of, you know, 9,500 pounds. So does the board want me to move forward with engaging Highland to come up with a design for the replacement of the full floor, or just the portion of the floor that we believe that the rigs would be on? Because we do keep the boat back there, and the boat weighs, you know, 400 pounds or something. You know, we could go back maybe to the stairwell, because we don't park vehicle, you know, the fire trucks beyond, say, where the stairs come down from the second floor.
I would say just change the whole floor out. Just get
Yeah.
it done the right way.
Okay.
One time. This way you don't have another Chester Heights. Get it done. It
Okay,
hasn't been
so I'll
fixed.
ask them to give me a bid, and then the next time we have a meeting, we can, you know, we can move forward with that bid. Well, you know, I'll request for a bid for full floor replacement due to the design load of the existing floor not being strong enough.
And if you do the whole floor, then 29 could go in there.
29, and, yeah, and
Right, that's
any vehicle could
Okay,
go in there,
that's
because we would
fine.
tell them that,
Yep.
you know, what we
I'll
need it
go along
designed
with
to.
that. I'll go along with
Okay.
And you can design it for two companies.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, we've always stored the spare ladder down there until the floor started having issues. When we had the single axle ladder truck, the old ladder 15 that we auctioned off, that used to be kept down there. And then once we got rid of that, you know, ladder 15, which used to be ladder 16, the firehouse in Tuckahoe, that ladder truck just stayed there as, you know, a spare truck. So we didn't need to keep the spare truck in Bronxville anymore. But if we, you know, I think it's a good idea to do the whole floor. I was just giving the board options, so.
Need a motion, Chief?
I don't think it's going to cost us anything to do that, because if it is going to cost us for them to give us, all I'm asking for Highland Associates is to give us a quote to do, you know, the design, you know,
Actually, he's already done that. When you.
for the full floor?
Yeah, when you went out to construction.
Right,
You know,
right.
for this consultant,
Right,
I should
right,
say.
right.
There was a paragraph in there that says that the fee for designing the whole floor, or, you know, whatever
Yeah, yeah,
work would be,
yeah.
would be 8 to 10% of the
Okay.
cost of the job.
Right, right, okay. So I'll ask them to come back.
And you're
with that.
underestimating the cost, by the way.
I know I am, but, you know, it's, well, it's, yeah.
It's gonna be, you know, I mean, Chester Heights is 700, and we're lucky to get the 562 to start off with.
Right, right, right.
This one's gonna start out at least 750, and it'll probably be close to $1 million by the time it's done.
Okay. So finally, I had requested a promotional and award ceremony for this meeting, but after receiving comments at the last board meeting that I wasn't at, I heard that there was a recommendation that we hold the award and promotionals at the September meeting. So if the board is open to it, I would like to have a promotional and award ceremony at our September meeting. It would probably take 45 to 60 minutes, because we have had a lot of promotions, and we have had quite a few, you know, saves as far as medical, EMS, CPR saves. So there, you know, I think it would add about 45 to 60 minutes to the meeting. So other than that, that's the end of my report.
Thanks, Chief.
Chief, do you want to discuss the truck now? Don't know
Yeah.
that?
Well, do you want to do the car first, the Tahoe?
Yeah, it's fine.
And has the new captain vehicle come in yet?
It's been in service for about a month and a half, and I got a lot of good feedback from the guys. They like it a lot. The only comment is it's a little bit long, so if they're on an EMS call and the road is blocked and they get released, they try to do a broken U-turn, and it's a little bit tough. So in the future, I think next year I'm going to recommend that we do a suburban type vehicle for the captains, and then that will become the transport vehicle that you wanted me to get. You know, we talked about getting like a church type van or something like that for recall and stuff like that. So I would make that vehicle, the recall, and also the backup captain's car. Because 2108 is in terrible condition. It needs a whole new front end, and, you know, the current backup captain's car is in very bad shape. So
45,000, Chief, is that the number?
it was 45,575 to Denoire Chevrolet, Denoyer Chevrolet, 127 Wolf Road, Albany, New York, based upon the Endicott, New York, Village of Endicott, New York Police Department accepted bids.
All right, so I'll make a motion for the chief to purchase the 2022 Tahoe from Denoire Chevrolet at the price of $45,575 as soon as possible.
And add the $20,000 to refurbish the fires.
Well, then we're going to discuss that after the,
Okay,
right,
that's
well,
fine.
after, when you, and after you have the
When
truck.
we get it, yeah,
We'll discuss the
yeah.
rest of the packages
Was
for the
there
truck.
a second?
I'll second that.
Sorry. Oh, okay.
Commissioner Rhodes
Did you
seconded.
want me to call the roll or more discussion needed? Sorry.
I think we're okay, you can call the roll.
All right, Commissioner Lori,
Aye.
Commissioner Randall,
Aye.
Commissioner Keating,
Yes.
Commissioner Roach,
Aye.
Commissioner Carlin,
Aye.
motion carries.
Tower ladder?
Yeah, does the board have, you know, I figured I'd throw it out to the board. I really don't expect it to get approved tonight. It would be wonderful if it was, but, you know, to discuss how to pay for it, it would be nice if Jamie was here, but I have discussed with her these options. You know, she said to add 650 or 700,000 to the next 2 years' budgets is going to add about a 1% increase, you know, so that, you know, that has to be considered. So, I mean, it's a board decision.
And do we have the ability to pay off the,
Prepay?
no, like, can we pay Pierce in a 2-year plan or no?
No,
Okay.
no.
Now, I spoke to Jamie briefly about this, and maybe we can
Pierce
wait.
does financing, but I don't know that they would get a better price than bonding. I mean, I know interest rates are going up, but, you know, the salesman did mention that Pierce does do financing, but I don't know if the board wouldn't be interested in that.
Interest rates going back up, chief?
I've heard rumors, I don't know, maybe going up.
Well, let's table,
Again.
we can table this for next week, for next month's meeting,
That's fine.
but, you know,
Yeah, but, you know, I just asked the board to consider, and, you know,
it's fine.
We want to make sure the sizing is all right before we do anything, right?
it says in the contract, it will fit in the North End Firehouse, or we don't have to accept delivery. It says that right on the first page of the proposal.
And we have no apparatus fund, right? Reserve fund for apparatus, that's what it is.
We were not allowed to do that. We had a house and apparatus fund, and our attorneys told us that you can't combine them like that. They have to be separate. So we took all the money and put it into the house fund.
Last September, the attorney told us that we could put money into an account without making it a reserve.
Right.
So it could be used elsewhere and roll that over. So like you said, I mean, we actually had done that in September and it came out in October for some reason. But this September, hopefully when they make the budget, they'll actually put it in and leave it there.
Right, right.
And then, like you said, with the SAM grant coming in, we're already two-thirds
yeah.
home.
And the only thing is if you do a reserve fund, I think we have to do that permissive referendum to use
No,
the
we
money.
wouldn't make it a reserve fund. We
Okay.
were just making an apparatus purchase fund.
Okay.
This is what Lawyer Sweeney said.
Okay,
Okay, Chief, thanks.
okay.
Thank you, chief.
Anything on the floor, just have them do the proposal to
Oh,
do
yeah, no.
designing for a new floor? Okay. I agree, I think that's the best way to go.
Okay, again, thanks, Chief, and that leaves us with the Esong, who is at home quarantined, but we'll let her give her report if she has, if she can.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll be very brief and
Cool.
talk too much here. So for community outreach in June, there was an event that took place between the American Red Cross and Fire Prevention Bureau. Helping set up on June 18th. Website management and monthly graphic design, excuse me, page updates were made, and then launched just recently our ESD monthly newsletter. So that was in the works throughout June. Thanks for the feedback, and of course I encourage anyone, if there's any specific items to put in our monthly newsletters, I can easily add that on moving forward. For FOIL requests, 3 FOILs were received and processed. For record management, we are tentatively awarded a grant in the amount of $39,038 as part of the records digitization project for the LGR MIF Award. And I sent the commissioners the awards list as well as the feedback on the grant application. Recently, And then in June, we had a few meetings with NYSA to coordinate the resources for that grant funding as we move forward on the records management project. I anticipate to have a solid timeline, hopefully by the end of the month, once I finish my meetings and get all the quotes back in afterwards. For grant writing, I'm continuing work on the safer grant research through AFG for the fall 2022 application, and continuing to do research on grant application options for equipment and capital projects. And that also leads to the miscellaneous on my report that we started the process canvassing candidates for invitation to CPAT. So that deadline is coming up on July 16th for the canvas letter responses to be sent in, and I'll provide the board updates once we get those in. And then we did begin the bid process for Chester Heights that was posted on the New York State Contract Reporter, on our website, and also in the newspaper. And that sums up the highlights of my report.
Thank you, Isang.
Thank you,
You're doing a great job.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, that leaves us to a personnel issue, so let Commissioner Randallone take this one.
Okay, yes, I'm proposing that we add an additional firefighter to the roster. That would be one extra firefighter in one group, so he would be available 25% of the time. We will be sending, is our intention to send 4 firefighters, or 4 candidates to the next probationary fire class, which will be starting the middle of August.
August 30th now, they delayed it a week for scheduling. They had some issues with the instructors.
Okay. So we're in the process of sending out letters to the candidates on the list to have their CPAT, to get resumes, and we'll be starting the process within the next week or so.
I think the ultimate goal is to eventually increase
Yes.
the number of firefighters per group by 1, right, to
Yes.
total of 15?
Starting, so this one firefighter now, which will give us 4 firefighters in the next academy, he'll be in one group. My plan for next year is to add another 2 firefighters to the roster to complete the extra firefighter in each group. So we'll have, in other words, what we currently operate with is a captain, 2 lieutenants, and 14 firefighters in a group. By adding an additional firefighter to each group, we'll have a captain, 2 lieutenants, and 15 firefighters in a group. And we will have the ability, when no one is on vacation, no one's out sick or injured, to have 3 firefighters on 3 pieces of apparatus. So it would be a tremendous help for any time we get any type of an alarm, whether it's a fire or a medical emergency or whatever. You have the extra hand, it'd be a tremendous help. So that's my plan.
Any more discussion? No? All right, so I'll make a motion to create the position of firefighter and direct Jamie Hedstrom to submit to civil service request.
So we're, on the next class, we're only having 1
No,
go?
next class in September, we're gonna have, I think,
4.
Oh, okay, I thought you meant the way you had said.
We have 2 retirees so far.
Yeah, no, the way you said 1, I thought you meant you were hiring just 1.
No, we'll be sending 4 to the academy.
And those 4 be in each group?
No.
1 will be in each group?
Yeah.
1 will be in each group?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so a motion to create the position of firefighter and direct Jamie Hedstrom to submit to civil service a request and any other paperwork necessary to create the position effective immediately with a salary as per the existing negotiated CBA. Can I get a motion on that?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Isam?
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Laurie,
Aye.
Commissioner Randallone,
Aye.
Commissioner Keating,
No.
Commissioner Roach,
I have family members on the current list, so I have to abstain.
Commissioner Carlin,
Aye.
motion carries.
Okay, thank you. So we have some miscellaneous business. I'll let the chief take the first one, which is a badge presentation.
Sure.
To one of our newest chaplains.
Okay.
Chief.
Monsignor Sweeney, I guess maybe if we go over to that microphone, so we get picked up.
Don't speed now.
Welcome.
You could come right over here. I think they have a camera.
Give him a Bible to put his hand and swear on.
I think there's a camera. So I would like to thank Father Monsignor Luke Sweeney for volunteering for being a department chaplain for the Eastchester Fire District. Thank you for your guidance. Hopefully, you'll be able to come to our next meeting. We're going to have the award ceremony. So if you're, I don't know the exact date.
To September meeting, you said. Next meeting will be August.
Yeah, yes. So that would be great. So I just want to thank you for coming on board. All right? Thank you very much, Monsignor. Okay.
And may I just say thank you very much to the commissioners, to the chair, Commissioner Carlo, to all the commissioners, but especially Commissioner Roche in a specific way as well. And prayer that, especially in attending this meeting and seeing all the important decisions that you're discussing, may you have wisdom and prudence to continue to provide for the needs of the good people of the town of Eastchester and continue to support those men and women who place their lives on the line to keep us safe. So, and prayers for their safety.
Thank you again.
so
Amen.
much.
Thank you.
And I didn't mention it, but Monsignor Sweeney is from the Immaculate Heart of Mary Parish. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Yep.
Okay, next is a civil service fire prevention inspector. Commissioner Roach had mentioned he wanted to discuss that.
Right. The chief sent us an email during the month that the fire prevention office, made up of a captain and a firefighter, are not completing all the tasks that are necessary to fulfill all the laws of fire prevention or the code of the state of New York. And it would make sense to me that we hire a fire district inspector. It's a civil service position. Fortunately, it is a lot less of a cost. I don't know the exact salary, but it certainly would not be the same cost of putting another firefighter there to assist them. Not that we have another firefighter that wants to go there. So I believe that it would behoove the district to hire, go out and research and find out the possibilities of hiring a civilian fire prevention inspector. And this way, he could fulfill and complete all the tasks that aren't being completed now.
So in addition to the two we have?
Yeah.
And where's this money coming from that we're paying? Who's gonna pay him? The board, the Eastchester Fire Department's gonna pay the individual?
You want to, I mean, you're absolutely correct.
No, I don't know, I'm
No,
just
no,
asking.
answer it. Yeah, exactly, and I was going to answer it. I think you're 100% correct that the town gains most of the benefits from the fire prevention inspections. They collect the fees and everything. The fire district actually doesn't receive any remuneration, so that's not a bad idea if we wanted to appeal to the town to see if the building department or whatever agency within the town wants to supplement that salary. But yeah, it was my intention initially, because it's fire prevention inspection, we operate the Bureau of Fire Prevention, that we would initially pay the salary, but I am not adverse to have a resolution that the board forms a committee and discuss this, and then decides whether they want to approach the town for some remuneration and to share the responsibility, or the town pay the whole salary.
If the town pays the whole salary, I have no problem with that, Commissioner Roach. I just wanted to know, if they don't pay it, is the Eastchester Fire Department paying for it?
If he's an employee of ours,
If
we
he's
would
an
be
employee
paying
of
him,
it.
sure.
But I'm saying, if you're gonna go get Joe from another community to come here, then we're paying him. Is that correct?
Well, he'd be hired, he'd have to be an Eastchester resident like all our rules. It would have to be a resident. He would
we
have
have-
to have passed the civil service fire inspector test. He would have to have the highest, one of the highest 3 grades.
And we have to
If-
put that in our budget, that we appropriate X amount of dollars for this new position. Am I correct?
Well, what precipitated this was that the chief was asking us to pay the fire inspectors that we currently have overtime.
Well,
So
yeah,
it would
right,
have been a
but
lot.
It was, from what I understand, a very, very, very small amount compared to, I think, with the budget, the
Well,
budget
well-
line item.
Well, are you intending to keep that at $15,000?
Now, let's see, well, if it's, It should be doable at 15,000. I don't know if it's gonna be, if we need
That's
to
what was
raise it.
budgeted for this year,
Budget
and
15,000, they've used maybe $700 of it.
I believe the
Because
motion,
in the past, the captain was the highest in overtime of captains, and he wasn't doing fire duty, and the budget was $40,000, and all the buildings still weren't inspected. So,
Do you want to add something, Steve?
I think Mr. Anilon wanted to speak.
Yeah, I was wondering if you asked your counsel about this. Traditionally, the union, the bargaining unit, has handled fire prevention. Now you're going outside the bargaining unit, and I would look into that, because I'm not sure if you're able to do that, since traditionally, that's been a union position.
in other words, fire prevention has been handled by firefighters and a lieutenant.
Yes.
That's what it says. Well, that's a valid point. We should look at that. But it's another avenue in which we can do something and a more economical and make sure that all the work is getting done as required by state law, which is really my objective.
Well, it's getting done now, except for the need for a couple of hours time a week, Chief, is that what it was, or?
right, he was saying with the amount of solar panel plans coming in and oil tank removals, that he's doing a lot more inspections and plan reviews. The plan reviews take a while, so that's what he's told me, that, plan reviews for new buildings, like the Lord and Taylor buildings, when they put in a they're right now, he's dealing with an issue with the sprinkler system up there. A lot of the heads are over 50 years old, so that, a lot of heads have to be replaced, so he's, reviewing plans for, a 3-story building that has, however many tens of thousands of square feet, so a project like that takes a lot of his time. When they were doing the hotel, 5 floors of sprinklers, it takes time for him to review those plans and make sure everything's up to code. So he's saying that the plan reviews are consuming a lot of his day, and so that's why he's asking,
I guess my
for
question
the
is,
extra
if you're
time.
gonna add a third person and pay them 50 grand a year versus putting that 50 grand towards overtime, what's the difference?
Well, because you have a third person, another talented person, someone that's specifically for that, and I'm assuming that the construction is going to continue, the renovations, so the workload's not going to get less. And what if one of them get hurt? Then no amount of overtime is going to do it. You
So
have
you
a
assume
third
this is-
human being there that is knowledgeable and tested and is up to date in the training, right? You would assume?
They would have to have codes,
Right,
Yeah, they
exactly.
would have to be
Just like-
codes people.
And they would be available.
You're assuming this third person would be hired outside of the district, outside the fire?
No, he would, we would hire him.
Okay.
He'd be a civilian, just like Tim, just like our secretary, just like our treasurer. We have many civilian employees already
Isn't
in the
fire
district.
prevention typically a union-covered position?
Well, fire, and we're not minimizing that. The officer, and there was never a firefighter in, it was always just a singular officer that did it for years, until a dozen years ago. And then they added a firefighter position. So just like it was updated then, it can be updated now. It doesn't take away from a firefighter or a union member. We're not saying that we're going to put them back into fire duty. We're going to allow them to stay where they are. We're just giving them, rather than do it with overtime, we're going to do it with a civilian employee that costs a lot less money for the district. And hopefully even if the town is willing to.
But the civilian personnel, is he under benefits also, like hospitalization and pension?
Like
He's under that?
every other civilian personnel is, so I would assume
Full-time.
we'd have to
If
be.
he's
Jamie
full-time.
doesn't get benefits because she's not full-time, so it depends on if it's a full-time or part-time position.
And I guess maybe that would be up to the captain to decide whether he needed a full-time or a part-time guy.
Steve?
I would say you should start with your legal counsel, because you're creating a position to circumvent a bargaining unit position. It's the same as creating
we're not,
it's the
Steve.
same as creating a firefighter position and saying, well, we just created that. He's a firefighter, but not the same as you guys. It's been a bargaining unit position. I would ask counsel first before you
Well,
go
that's
too far
fair
into
enough. I
this.
agree with that statement, and so you're just
Before you get
reiterating
too
yourself.
deep into the weeds.
But what we're doing is not eliminating the firefighting position. As you can see, the board just
you're
voted
creating
to
a position-
add a firefighter
You're
position.
creating a position that should be a firefighter position. It's in fire prevention, which is a firefighter position.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. And I am suggesting that we make it a civilian position to be more efficient. And especially to keep more firefighters online, because I think that's where they belong.
Ask legal counsel.
Okay. We'll speak to Cheryl. Next is the permissive referendum. There's talk that Jane mentioned to the board that for the last phase of work at Chester Heights, there's going to be some last payments due. I think roughly $80,000, give or take. I'm not sure exactly. So either do a permissive referendum, or revise the current referendum to include this additional amount, or we just pay it from the general fund. I spoke to the treasurer. It can go either way. We have money in the general fund. We have money we can do, or we can revise the referendum. I think it's just simpler to pay it from the general fund. We have plenty of work coming up that we can use the other fund we have set aside for capital improvements and so forth. So we don't need to just pull it from that area. We can pull it from the general fund. It's not going to be a lot of money, and I say we just complete the job with funds from the general fund, not from.
I agree with you. I mean, in 2021, we had a 0% increase and $1 million reserve. This year, we'll probably have $1.5 million because we had a 3% increase, so I think the money will be there.
I agree, yeah, so I will speak to the treasurer when she gets back and let her know that. Chester Heights update. So the floor was poured this past Tuesday. 30 days to cure. I think there's drainage, the drainage from the steps going down into the basement was taken care of. The drainage in the front of the driveway, I believe, is being worked on as well.
I think he said, yeah, that's going to be done tomorrow. The skirt drain at the front of the driveway.
And the drain going into the main.
Well, so those blue dry wells are going to be over by the flagpole. That's where the downspouts are going to be connected to. The only water going into that big dry well in the front is going to be the skirt drain that some street water and some driveway water is going to go into. Because we're supposed to contain the water on our property. So as the ramp is pitched down, the water will go into that skirt drain that goes from edge to edge of the driveway. That's all that water is going to go into that big round thing that you saw sitting on the front lawn for the last 6 months.
Right, but I think Joe was there on Monday with Vinco.
I was there too.
And you were there also,
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah.
There was talk of that work being done to, I think we're still waiting for Cheryl to come, not Cheryl, but for Catherine to come back and let us know if there's any change in the actual work order.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure if he spoke to
And where's the
Catherine.
sump pump water going?
The sump pump is going to go into a different dry well, and then the overflow is going to go out to the storm system. But for that, we're going to have to cut into the street. We have to get a permit from the highway department. Originally, they designed it so it went right from the sump pumps to the storm drain system. And when we approached the highway department for the permit, he says that's not allowed. So Joe Paterno had to come on Monday and took a look at it. So he's going to have to put like a manhole or a dry well, and then so the water from the sump pumps will go to that, and then as that overflows, it's going to go out to the storm drain system. So.
I mentioned to Joe that's got to be worked on quickly, so we can get it.
Yeah, I mean, Vinco wants to get the job done and get out of there.
Right.
So, they're doing it as quick as they can. When they have these issues come up, they have to wait for the engineer to make a decision and give them a plan to move forward, and then if there's an additional cost, then they have to wait for the board to approve, the change orders. So unfortunately, the process slows it down sometimes.
Right, but the hope is that, 30 days from now, the floor is cured, there's no moisture test, the moisture test is positive, and we're good to go. And we're still looking to get these guys back in there by mid-September, I think, late September. We have hot water. We'll have hot water in the firehouse, I believe, by then. Right, Steve? If it's not already there. And they've lived there now for the past 3 years without heat.
Well, we put electric heat in the rooms that are mostly used, the kitchen, the dormitory, and the bathroom.
Right. And we can get
I mean, that's not ideal. We'd like to get a heating system in there.
But of course, with the bids coming in and
The
who
bids
knows-
aren't even
who
due
knows,
until the
right.
end of the month, I
Who knows
think,
how
July
supply-
27th or 28th.
Who knows how supply is going to be with these, all this work.
Yeah,
so-
if they have to order a HVAC system, they may say it's going to be 4 months lead time. I mean, I don't know that. I'm just guessing.
But the fact is, we could get them back in there without heat in September, hopefully.
It's, again, if we have to add a few additional electric radiators, because now we're going to have 2 bathrooms instead of 1.
Right.
The question is, will they have a usable bathroom? Are they going to have to go upstairs to use the existing bathrooms while the other ones are under construction? At some point, when they're doing demolition, we wouldn't want the guys in there because there's gonna be a dust issue. But once the demolition is done and they got the walls closed up and there's really not a lot more dust, I could see us moving in at that point. So hopefully, like you said, you know, September, hopefully, fingers crossed.
Hoping.
So yeah, I mean, it's hard to say because we haven't even awarded the bid yet to ask the contractor their availability.
Exactly, yeah,
So the
so-
bids aren't due until the end of the month,
But I
so.
think the original thought was that we could get them back in there even before the work started.
So I spoke to the gentleman, Austin, that's running the project, that was there. I've been there 2 or 3 times this week. I was there Monday for the meeting, I was there Tuesday for the concrete pour, or shortly after, and I was there again today, speaking with the electricians on where we want lighting and things like that, and switches. So he's hoping to pour the ramp in about 2 weeks. So, because that's another thing you can't drive on for 28 days, right? You're talking about the apparatus floor, but if you can't drive on the driveway, you know, for 2 weeks later, it doesn't matter when the apparatus floor can be driven on. So he's hoping to finish all the drains and all the necessary work for the ramp, the driveway, to be done, and that they can have that concrete poured in 2 weeks. So if that's done, you know, August 1st, by August 30th,
Right.
we could put a rig in there, but, you know, again, that's up to, you know, everything else going smoothly,
Right.
so.
Okay, well, so we're getting there. Okay.
So what are we gonna do when we have our current lease to August 31st?
So if the town is not willing to extend our lease, we're just gonna move them to headquarters if we can't move, because there's no other place in Chester Heights for us to put the guys in a rig. So hopefully if we need it for an extra few weeks, they'll allow us to extend it. But there's really not much option to keep a rig down there once the weather starts getting cold. You know, last winter they had to come up to headquarters on the below freezing days, or, you know, below 36 degrees. I was telling them to come up, so. So that's the plan, to come back to headquarters, but hopefully we'll be we'll be back in the firehouse before the freezing temperatures come.
Season, right?
Yeah.
Good job.
But right now, September, is that the projected
Oh, okay.
ETA?
That was the estimate from Joe Paterno, our engineer, so we're hoping September, yes.
Just with residents here who want
So
to
we
know.
did the next two.
Next is the, all right, thank you, Chief. Next is the email collection for our newsletter. I think Tom brought that up in a recent,
I think so. The newsletter was awesome. I
was
think
very good,
everyone
yeah,
saw it. It's, you know, I can say, and the website, between the two of them, I think that the Eastchester Fire Department is getting into the 21st century as far as social communications go. I think we should give Esong, she's been proving herself in and out. I think she'll, if we just give her the authority to start it, I have no doubt that she'll fulfill the, in a great way.
I think she did mention that people can go onto the site and they can also enter their information. Is that correct, Isang?
Yes, there's an option on the website for them to sign up for a monthly newsletter alert. There are a few other options, of course, that we can put on the web pages to collect their information and just let them know that we have a monthly newsletter. Additional things that I've been looking into involve a QR code. Should the board ever be interested in handing out pamphlets at events, they could always go ahead and scan a QR code on their phone to take them right away to the website, which could also target, collecting their information if they want to keep up to date with us monthly. There's a few things I could send the board just for their consideration for how we could collect. And of course, if there's any specific events or things leading up that the board wants to let the community know about, we can always do a few things around that as well.
Esong, with your permission, I would like to give the public right now your official Eastchester email, so to send them their email to you so that you could add them to the newsletter emailing list. What do you think?
Sure, that's totally fine. That is an option. And on our website, too, if you want to direct them, if they just go to the Notify Center, that also will be there.
Perfect. So the, a notice to all the general public, and please share this with all your neighbors and other residents and business owners, that the Eastchester Fire Department is having a monthly newsletter, and it contains a lot of information. And I think that if you just put in EFD, Eastchester Fire Department, you'll come up and probably easily find the website, and then you can sign up for the newsletter on that website, or you can send an email to secretary@eastchesterfd.com and ask to be put on the monthly newsletter email blast. So that's secretary@Eastchester, spelled out, fd.com.
And we'll just add, if they want to go to our website, it is eastchesterfd.com. So if you don't want to Google it and just put it in the browser, you could just put eastchesterfd.com to check out our new revamped website. And Esong did a great job with it.
And actually, I found out some information on it, which I'd like to talk about a second if the board will allow me. 25% of our runs are false alarms.
I think it's always been that way, Tom, for many, many, many years.
Yeah, it's the way the captains code it. You know, sometimes they'll put in burnt food as a false alarm. That smoke detector is doing what it's supposed to do. It's smoke, you know, but it was, you know, an accidental alarm. If they had a category for accidental, like, you know, we get these curling irons, the flat irons, sometimes they cause a little bit of smoke in the hair salons, and that's what caused. But the smoke detector is doing what it's doing, what it's supposed to do. It's not like a false alarm that some little kid
no
pulled a pull
malicious
station.
false alarms.
Right,
Okay,
so it's the
very
way
good.
they categorize it for the NIFRS, the National Fire Incident Reporting System. There's specific categories that the state likes to track. So if the captain puts it in as like a false alarm, or, you know,
But
then
we're
it
not
comes
really
up as that.
receiving any malicious false alarms in Eastchester to any great extent.
For the most part, it's like young little kids, and, you know, because of the ADA rules, the pull stations have to be right at eye level for like a 4-year-old boy, and that seems to attract them, and they're like, you know, pull, they read the word pull, and so they pull it. So we have had that in a couple restaurants where young children will pull it, you know, I guess you could say they don't know any better, and then, you know, we'll speak to them and, you know, tell them, you know, that it's, you know, not a good thing, without trying not to scare them, but trying to get the point across that they shouldn't do that, so.
So maybe that's just a topic for one of the monthly newsletters, but really no education program is needed.
We could work on it. You know, I mean, we do go to the schools in Captain Pinnaval, and the captains and the firefighters talk about that kind of stuff, you know, but I don't know what to say. It's just
Yeah,
like,
no, there's nothing to be
once
done.
you put that, you know, in front of the kid, you know, if he's having a bad day, maybe he's gonna do it, you know,
Since the street alarm boxes were removed years ago, the number of actual false alarms has decreased tremendously. Because at one time, we had all these street boxes, people would pull them in the middle of the night, or, you know, in the buildings or whatever, and then it was a real problem. But since they've all been removed now, usually if an alarm goes off, it's for a reason. You know, it could be steam from a shower, it could be burnt food, or, you know, some, like the chief said, you know, some kid just walking by a pull station inside a building and, you know, thinking it's red, it must be good, so he pulls
So
it.
the automatic alarms, like you said, like a steam or burnt food, that's the automatic alarm, correct? Mm-hmm. Do we have any numbers on what happens with those each month, or how many we have on those, or is that all lumped in with?
Yeah, so I
all
break
lumped
it down for the monthly report, just so like a general thing. I could get more detail out of it, but it's going to be a lot bigger because there's a lot more categories. This is just the incident summary by incident type. And again, those are like NIFR categories. You know, false call is probably 20 or more different things, you know, so it's going to be a much bigger breakdown. But I think it's a tribute to all the homeowners and businesses that have put in alarm systems, because, you know, they'll probably save lives too. You know, the 20% or 25% false alarms, but how many times have people been woken up because they left food on the stove at 3 in the morning and it called the fire department, you know, without delay, you know, because somebody has to, you know, if it's smoky and they can't get to the phone, and, you know, that could be a real problem. So, or if they're not home and they left food on the stove and people leave, which happens sometimes, we look in the windows, we see smoke, nobody's home, we got to break in and, you know, see what's going on. So, you know, it does create some false alarms for those nuisance reasons, like we said, you know, hair dryers or whatever. But it does also provide a benefit that it does notify us about alarms that are actual problems and, you know, could be turned into a big fire if they didn't have the alarm system.
Like, do you see a pattern with, like, say, one of the restaurants in town where you see the same false alarm every month because they turn their stove on and it creates smoke, and every month they get a false alarm, and it's the same thing.
So we had that issue. It happened a couple times when we had these restaurants that have the brick pizza oven, you know, where they actually put wood into the oven to get it heated up. And because the chimney's not cold, sometimes so it's a combination of them having all the hoods on in the kitchen, which sucks the air into the kitchen, and it actually pulls the air out of the pizza oven. So we've spoken with them, and maybe we'll change a smoke detector to a heat detector so that it won't set off the smoke detector, because now it's a heat detector. It's looking for a temperature rise as opposed to smoke. So once we start getting those nuisance repeated alarms, we'll send the fire inspector in there to work out a solution. You know, maybe they have to relocate it. In a home, if we keep getting the steam from the shower and the smoke detector is right outside the bathroom, maybe they have to move it 6 feet over. So they have to pay their alarm company to come in and relocate the thing, and that'll stop it. So once we see a nuisance alarm, we try to deal with it, because, you know, we could be going to another emergency instead of going to a nuisance alarm. So,
Since we're still in miscellaneous business, I have one more topic I'd like to bring up, and we have the full board here to vote on it. I'd like to make a resolution that the board creates a committee to investigate and read and determine if we need to rewrite the rules and regulations of the year 1935. So that's my resolution, if I can have a second.
To rewrite the
Well,
rules and regulations of the department.
right, exactly. To look at them, to see if they can be improved and brought up to date.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'll second it.
All right, Isan, could you, yep.
Yes, I heard. I'll call the roll. Commissioner Lori,
No.
Commissioner Randall,
Aye.
Commissioner Keating,
No.
Commissioner Roach,
Yes,
Commissioner Carlo.
No.
Motion fails.
very good.
Okay, that brings us to Local 916 comments. Thank you, Steve. Public comments? Mike?
How's everybody, all right?
doing well, thank you.
Don't look like you are.
The lights at the firehouse in Station 4, the perimeter lights are lit inside on the apparatus.
Yes, Michael Parisi. You have to announce your name and address.
Michael Parisi, 16 Lockwood Avenue. The perimeter lights are lit. Inside is lit at night. You know, you go off about 5 in the morning, 5:30, once the light comes up. Just another question or two.
Excuse
going
me.
to grade
Sorry,
the-
Mike, can you go closer to the microphone?
Who is going to grade the property after the completion, when that house is, when the engine comes back in? Like the side of the property where they dug the foundation up and they put the drywall in there so it wouldn't leak? Do you have a contractor coming in to put grass down to make it look?
Yeah, they're gonna be digging more on that side when they put in those blue
Right,
Coltex
but after-
with the gravel.
Right, but
So I
after,
would assume that they're gonna level it or hopefully pitch it away from the firehouse, because that's what
Right.
we had in the past, that the grading was pitched towards the firehouse.
so are you going to, put brand new, are you going to put new earth and seed, you know, around it?
Off the top of my head, I don't know what the contract says, but I'm sure they have to put it back how it was. I mean,
Maybe we should just look to see what that brings back. And then the second question is, who's going to clean the inside of that firehouse? Are those firefighters going to move back to a dust bowl? Have we appropriated funds for that?
yeah, I would assume that they're gonna bring in like a construction and cleaning crew and, you know,
Who's going
clean
to-
everything.
Who's going to bring in and bring?
I would assume Vinco is the contractor.
But is that in the contract, is that in our contract?
Again, I don't have the contract on me. I would have to take a look at the, what they signed, you know?
Yeah,
But
well,
I would
maybe-
think that it, you know,
Yeah.
most construction companies bring in like a cleaning crew afterwards.
Thinking and not thinking, you know, and there's no pun intended, I think we should look at that, because that's going to be money back to the taxpayers or money back onto the fire department budget if it's not cleaned. You know, I don't think these guys want to move into a dust bowl, to sleep in a dust bowl, and, you know, you can have a problem that way too. And that's it. And I like your newsletter, it's great. And Eastchester Fire Department's moving in the right direction. And continue what you're doing. And you're doing the right thing at the firehouse. I was down there, I see what's going on, because I live right there, saw them pouring the cement. And hopefully we'll be moving along. And third question, are you going to put new lockers in for the firefighters? Or are you going to use those old lockers that go back to the school days when torture was in effect?
So the firefighters designated certain lockers that they wanted to keep, and those are in the dormitory part, which was sectioned off with plastic. So the dormitory is really not dusty.
Okay.
Upstairs, unfortunately, did get pretty dusty.
Right.
Because I guess, for whatever reason. So, yeah, so there'll be some lockers, but I'm going to propose for the next meeting that the board buy some gear lockers, similar to what we did in the North End, those red open metal lockers, so that the guys will be able to store their gear. And you know, that's it. You know, they I guess they have dressers or whatever in the dorm room, you know, so.
And the old antique running code board, is that going to be removed on the wall? Or are we going to keep that there as an historical site?
Most likely, because I would like to put a map there. It takes
Yeah.
up a lot of wall space.
Yeah.
Maybe we could move it upstairs, you
Yeah.
know, somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I would like to use that space for a map, you know,
Okay,
so,
all right, thank you.
okay.
Thanks.
Good evening, Tony Fiore, Midland Place, Tuckahoe. First, I want to say congratulations, Monsignor Sweeney. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the board for last month for the use of the engine and the utility truck for the Mamaroneck Parade. Okay. Did we win anything? Did we get anything that you know of? No? Okay. Then we'll find out. Just want to thank the board on that. Thank you. All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any other public comments? No? These commissioner comments. Anybody?
I wanted to say something. My heartfelt congratulations to all the new probies that are coming. I know I went up there with Commissioner Ranelone and Chief Tween one day to watch them. Those guys worked very hard in training. There was no picnic up there. I don't care what anybody tells me, unless you go see it for yourself. Those guys worked hard. And all I could say is my heartfelt congratulations to them. I wish them well. We're going to have them here for a long time, and I'm sure they're happy to come here. So God bless them where they are, and hope to see them tomorrow at their graduation ceremony. And my comments to you, Monsignor Sweeney, congratulations. Welcome aboard. Even though we are Father Sorgi's boys, me and Commissioner Ranelone, we're still your boys, too. So... Thank you, and thank you, Chief, for the, as Anthony says, for the use of the rigs and the men for Mamaroneck Parade. We did enjoy ourselves, and it was a nice, hot evening, too. That's it, Commissioner Carlo.
All right, thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, just a couple of words. I would also acknowledge the Mamaroneck Parade. It was my pleasure to march in the parade after 36 years of not marching in it. It brought back a lot of memories. Also, I did go down to the Station 4 during the month, and I watched the work being done down there. I was there the morning they started pouring the floor, the apparatus floor, and 8 guys were inside, pushing the concrete all around the different areas of the apparatus floor. And it's great to see the work finally getting done. So hopefully in the next couple of months, the guys will be back there. And that's it.
Nothing else? All right, on that note, I am going to make a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Very nice, guys. Thank you.
Very good. Good job.